Graylog is on a mission to make threat detection and incident response easier, faster, and more affordable. They help cybersecurity teams reduce risk across attack surfaces with SIM, log management, and API security solutions. Their newest offering, Graylog API Security, adds a new layer of defense by discovering rogue APIs, monitoring for threats from inside the perimeter, and providing detailed guided responses. Full fidelity capture of API requests and responses ensures you can perform complete investigations and meet regulatory requirements. Some popular and persistent API myths have almost become threats themselves. Go to securityweekly.com/Graylog and watch the video there to debunk the top 5 misconceptions surrounding API security. Welcome back to Enterprise Security Weekly. A few announcements here. Security Weekly listeners can save $100 on their RSA Conference 2024 full conference pass. It's next week, so if you're going to do it, you should probably do it as soon as you're hearing this. It's all day next week, Monday through Friday in San Francisco, and on demand if you're not going out there. To register using our discount code, please visit securityweekly.com/RSAC24 and use the code 54USECWeekly. We hope to see you there. And on the evening of Monday, May 6, 2024, W2 Communications and Cyber Risk Alliance are bringing cyber tacos back to San Francisco. If eating free tacos, sipping on margaritas, and mingling with cyber professionals from all over the world sounds good to you, make sure to register to secure your spot. You can visit securityweekly.com/cyber tacos to RSVP today. I just love saying cyber tacos. That's a lot of fun.
Cyber tacos.
Now for the Enterprise Security Weekly news. You can check out securityweekly.com/ESW360 if you want to follow along as we go through the news. Likely we won't get to everything. There's so many things I didn't have time to get in my usual level of notes. Usually my show notes are enough for a newsletter almost. But there's just so much going on this week, guys. We've got RSA next week, so all the marketing departments are all, firing all their messaging out of their cyber marketing cannons, and then we've got Verizon dropping the DBIR, Mandiant dropping M-Trends. All the reports are coming out, which is also effectively marketing for some of these companies. So there's a lot to talk about.
Oh, it's a week, Adrian. Holy smokes. And the hits keep coming literally every single day this week. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hard not to get whiplash these days.
All right. Let's see. So actually thought I had it pulled up here. I'm pull it up now. And let's see. Yeah, so big one there up top is Island pulling down 175 million. So their main competitor, Talon, already got picked up by Palo Alto here. How far do you think these guys can go with an enterprise browser?
Buddy, at what point do we stop bagging on secure browsers? I feel like I've been bagging on secure browsers forever, and now it's like somebody is shoving humble pie right in my face.
I mean, FireEye IPO'd on something that, wasn't a thing, that didn't really have market fit. So I don't know.
They got to. There's no way they get 175 on 3 without at least some kind of revenue. I mean, some serious freaking revenue. Yeah. And I think I'm just going to have to take the L, stamp it on my forehead. I'm wrong.
Well, so, I think it takes a little bit more, because remember, these companies came out of stealth, like 2 years ago? I mean, some of these original contracts, like they probably haven't wrapped, they probably haven't hit renewals yet. It's so with FireEye, it took after the IPO, really, it took 5 or 6 years for us to find out that they were having some serious churn. Customers didn't realize what they had bought. They didn't understand it. And I think that's a very different situation than what we have here. It's a much easier product to understand. I think here it's just, are people going to get the level of value out of it that I don't know what these guys are charging, but I imagine it must be at least $30 a seat for something like this. Like it's not, costing companies the same amount as any malware, or endpoint protection or something like that. I'm imagining this is not a cheap product.
I hit up a person in the know when this news dropped with my quote that I sent him was, "Holy smokes on the island raise. WTF haven't we learned from over raising?" And this particular person in the know is very well connected, and basically sent me back, "Nope, this one's real." And I was
Mm.
shocked. Like, this person is the kind of guy that, and this person's going to know, right? Um,
Yeah.
this is absolutely real. There's a real market being formed here. There's disruption occurring, and that this particular company is going after a space that they think they can make a real multi-billion-dollar run at. So, I honestly, I'm just going to take the L. I'm gonna take the L and say that I'm wrong. The secure browser and, the bigger picture of maybe like a VDI style play is something that it has a longevity. And Darwin, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Island and the VDI and the secure browser space in general.
Yeah, 100%. I think with Talon getting scooped up, I think last year for 625 mil by Palo Alto, it leaves only one or two other competitors in the space with Island. And so when it comes to they came out of stealth in February of 2022, and to raise a Series D of this size, 175 mil at a $3 billion valuation, it speaks a lot to how well they've been executing. I think they're way past product market fit. And if we think about what has changed in the security landscape over the past year, it's that generative AI and corporate end users having access to these tools and potentially leaking sensitive data to chatbots or chat gpt, that is a true risk. And so maybe this is something that they're also focusing on and leveraging as a new segment that they're targeting, or a new problem that they're targeting that is very prevalent in the enterprise today. So backed by Sequoia and Cotu, so pretty reputable backers. It'll be interesting to see if they get scooped up. I'm not sure how much like room to run they have. And I also, in a kind of cynical way, sometimes think to myself like, why can't Google Chrome just like add a bunch of security features and just give it away for free? They have the money to do it, and in my opinion, they have the duty to do it, right? So this is an interesting space.
So
It
Adrian,
is.
I have a quick
Yeah.
question, and I'd like your thoughts on this particular point. I read in an article this week. I don't know if it was Tom Tungus or somebody else who had written this, but um, they brought up the point that the super high growth companies and you mentioned 2 years ago, they've essentially Island, what, 2 or 3 years old, really, at this point.
Yeah, too.
It takes that many years to actually determine the churn in your business,
Mm,
meaning you sell 1 year contracts early on. You maybe make it to the first re-up, and they re-up for another year, 2 year, or even 3 years. But you really can't, as a SaaS company, you really can't understand the churn on your business and whether you have true PMF for at least one, if not 2 or 3 years. So I
Yeah.
wonder, is this market maybe just not hitting the churn point yet, and they're just still having the hyper growth curve, and they run some risk on the potential for churn over time. That's going to be an interesting thing to track with this particular market.
And, yeah, I think a big factor here also, I mean, this is still something that's very true of security products, where there is value in whether or not something you buy makes you feel secure, regardless of whether it actually reduces or has any impact on risk. And, I've got a different take on the AI stuff. Like, I've gone pretty deep with this stuff. And honestly, like, I think there's little to no risk of putting your data in a prompt and it popping out in somebody else's output. That's not part of your company, or even that is part of your company. Looking at the way LLMs are trained, I think if there is any risk there, it's the same as any other SaaS service. Like when ChatGPT there was a bug in the Redis database, and one day people logged in and were just seeing other people's stuff. Had nothing to do with the fact that it was LLMs or with the training models. It was just a database software had a bug in it and was serving up the wrong data to the wrong people. So I think the risk with using these AI chatbots is roughly the same as any other SaaS service.
mm,
And absolutely, a browser is a great place to be right now because a lot of people are kind of scared of that. I've done over 30 advisory calls on Microsoft Copilot, and I've got it all fired up in my own Microsoft 365 tenant. I've studied all the architectural stuff that I could find on it. and that's kind of where I've landed with it. And I'm still going to say enterprise browsers. I still see being pretty niche. I don't see it filtering down. I don't see it becoming something regulations are going to require. I don't see it filtering down to the mid market or small businesses. Um, I think Chrome will come up, and they do have some enterprise security features for free. So Chrome Enterprise, there's like a core. I forget what they call the product. They keep changing the name, taking a page out of Microsoft's book, rebranding stuff every couple of years. But they do have a paid version and a non-paid version, and I think they will change that to be whatever's good enough, right? Like Island will always have kind of like a premium offering there. They'll always be able to kind of trump what they're doing there. But yeah, I don't know. I still hear a lot of concerns from people about, okay, but what if they're not using their corporate device with Island installed? What if they're not, and the answer is kind of, you don't even let them log in, right? They can't even log into corporate systems unless they're using the correct browser. But that's pretty constraining. People are used to accessing stuff from their mobile phones, from their tablets, from other devices. I think it's a productivity hit if you're trying to exert that level of control over their browsing.
Yeah, we'll see. We're gonna have to watch this one closely.
Yeah. I think it ends up a niche, and like Darwin said, I think you know it's an important note that this is not a big space. This is not external attack surface management. Where 2 dozen companies pop up overnight. This isn't, and not even Casby, which had at least a dozen players in it at its peak. But was also kind of niche. I think this is the fact that there's only two, three, four companies in the space. Like seriously, there's some that are adjacent to it, using like Chrome plugins or something like that. But really, with a full Chromium backed browser, we've only got two or three in the space. We got Surf, we got Talon, which is now Palo Alto Prisma browser or something. I forget what they rebranded it as, but it's part of the Prisma SASE a platform, I believe now. And yeah, I think we'd see others pop up. It kind of reminds me of Invincia and Bromium. Where there were really only two big ones there, and Invincia decided to pivot into next gen AV and got a good exit to Sophos, and Bromium did not get a good exit to HP out of that. They kind of stuck to the micro virtualization thing with their secure browser, and yeah, it was not a great exit for them. All right. Let's see. Corelight. Corelight is that's the IDS IPS, right? That's based on Zeek. I think it's a Zeek based.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
Darwin.
network detection and response play. They just raised Series E, 150 mil, and this one is interesting. They're backed by Cisco Investment, CrowdStrike, and also the round was led by Accel. I haven't. This is like the first time
Big names.
this. Yeah, huge names, right? And also when you get the backing of someone like CrowdStrike or Cisco, another security vendor, um, it obviously speaks levels to the type of product and how much traction they're seeing in the market. I think that with cloud and microservices, network security is much different than the traditional approach that we were taking maybe like 10 years ago. And so it requires like newer and different approaches. It seems like they're doing something with AI and they're plugging directly into SIEM and source solutions. So streamlining some of that analysis, whether it's through enrichments or correlation on what they're seeing across the entire network. So this one's interesting. It brings to mind also the network security startup that Barrett Lyon also founded sometime a couple of years ago. I'll come back to it. Netography, very
Mhm.
similar to Netography. It sounds like. So this is a unique space, a very difficult problem to tackle, and it's good to see that it's based on Zeek.
Yeah, Martin Resch, right? Over at
Yep,
Netography.
Mhm.
Yeah, also.
exactly.
Yeah, it reminded me of that also. But Corlight's been around for a while. I feel like I don't know when they were founded, but I feel like they're at least 10 years old at this point. But
Nice.
but yeah, seem pretty steady. I've heard good things about them. I think they're more like I think of them as a direct competitor to Darktrace, which had an acquisition exit, which we'll talk about
Mm.
in a bit here.
Yep.
So that can't be bad for them, right? The fact that Darktrace had a what looks like a pretty good exit. I think it was like anybody
Well,
calculate? I think it was like 17x, something like that.
Was
not not
11.
Darktrace
not sure
publicly
what the
traded?
multiplier. Not sure what the multiplier there was, but I know they got acquired for 5.4 billion. Um, which is that's a number that I think only private equity can pay out at this point. So Thoma Bravo continues to build out their security portfolio.
I
Um,
think it was 650 was their revenue for 2023. So that comes out to 8.3x by my calculations. So
hmm,
yeah, not a terrible exit, not for PE anyway.
yeah.
Any thoughts here, Tyler, on Darktrace? I wouldn't have guessed to see them go that far. Yeah, I mean, it's not a company you hear a lot of great things about.
Were they publicly traded? They were not, right? They were privately held before this PE acquisition?
I thought they went public on the London Stock
On the
Exchange,
London
didn't
exchange, right. Okay, that's what
they?
I thought. That's why I asked. There's a take private, right? So it's throwing off
Yeah.
enough cash to for somebody to look at and go, "Yep, we can squeeze this. We can lever it up. We can make the math work on the financial side of the business to take it private, lever it up and republic it or resell it off, right?" So, I don't think there's anything interesting necessarily and unique that's indicative of any market trends or anything here other than, hey, it's another PE scoop up where they're going to squeeze blood from the turnip, right? That's the playbook.
Yeah, almost exactly 3 years ago, they went, public in April
Yeah.
2021 on
Yeah.
the, London Stock Exchange. Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, let's see. I didn't, like I mentioned, I didn't have time to really do a lot of, deep research into any of these. I did look at Oasis. I'm trying to remember what they do. I thought it was kind of, non-human identity management. So I thought that was kind of
So
interesting.
machine identity.
Yeah, machine identity. So that's their Series A extension. So that gives them a total of 70 mil on their Series A.
Extensions are always interesting. It feels like there's lots of companies doing extensions for numerous reasons right now,
It
right?
wasn't one of
Sometimes it's
those
the
like 2 years later extensions though. Like the original Series A was August.
Mm.
Yeah, you
So it's not.
can't overread into the extensions, right? Because the extensions could be 2 years later we can't raise, so we're doing an extension, right? And often that's one path. The other path is, hey, we just finished raising and the interest is so strong that 3 months later we go ahead and we do an extension where we decided we'll take more in, right? So it's tough to know exactly what the driving factor behind an extension round could be. Um, but in this particular case, you said August to now, it's probably more the demand is there. The company's probably healthy and doing well. And I swear, in the last 2 weeks, I've seen the investment jump, the investment disclosures, PRs, press releases jumping pretty drastically. And Darwin might have a better insight into the numbers because I know he writes up a lot of this stuff in his Cybersecurity Pulse newsletter, which I highly recommend you subscribe to. He's probably got a little bit of better understanding of that, but it feels like it's might be one of those situations where investors are looking at it going, the bottom's here, the bottom's here. Let's just start plowing money into the market.
Or is
Right.
it the pre RSA effect?
I think it's
People
combo
sitting there.
player. Macro plus pre RSA timing. And not only that, but it's pre RSA timing, but these things were not closed this week. These things were
Right.
closed
Sure.
1, 2, 3, 4 months ago, and they sit on the news to announce it right before RSA.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I've certainly seen the amount um, per round has increased. We've seen like much larger later, like Series A to Series C's. But another thing that I've been noticing is that seed rounds have stayed low. So we're it's not like we're going back to 2020 and pandemic level type of rounds where someone may raise like 15 mil for a seed, 10 mil for a seed. One example is Run Reveal, who will cover. They raised 2.5 mil for their seed. just this past week, and folks can do more with less today because of AI and like having a much more scrappier mindset and focusing on bottom line revenue versus growth at all cost. So for the earlier rounds, folks are really taking in less money so that they can prove out that they have PMF, and then for the later rounds, it seems like they're taking on more capital, so that they can expand into more markets and things of that nature.
It's such a healthier way of doing business too.
Hmm.
Like let's not overinvest early. Let's make sure we can actually hit PMF. Let's make sure we can create a business that the market actually cares about before we funnel, just ungodly amounts of capital into the playbook. Now, it still is mind-boggling to me when these companies are taking $100 million rounds, $70 million rounds. Like, why? Why do we need that in today's day and age? It's absolutely mind-boggling to me. And the idea is, blitz scale. The market ends up being a winner take all market. Therefore, you have to blitz the market so that you can be the one winner in market. But I'm half tempted to write an article about this because I'm not of the belief that many, if any, cyber markets are blitz scale required. I don't know that there's a situation where there's always one winner. I
Right.
think it goes to three or four winners, and sure, you have to take some venture, take the fast route to be the top four, but you're not going to get boxed out if you're taking in a reasonable amount of money and growing in a healthy way. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if the investment side actually learns from the ZERP era mistakes on this one.
Well put. And I would love to see that article sometime. So let me know
Yeah.
if you want to partner up on that. I think
Hey man,
it's an
absolutely.
interesting
You and I
take.
both know how
Yeah,
to write. Let's do this together. I'd love it.
let's party.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got partnerships to talk about today, but we may be forming some right now.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
Um, so jumping back to Elicity, I'm not sure what's going on there with identity-based microsegmentation. The only thing, or the at least the initial thing that hits me is Edgewise Network, which too bad Katie isn't here. Maybe she could weigh in. She was at Edgewise for a little while, which got acquired by Zscaler a couple years back, and more than a couple. Wow, it's been 2020, almost 4 years now. And like it's interesting, with zero trust and everything using identity to do segmentation, but I don't know if they're truly talking about connecting network segmentation and identities, or if they're using microsegmentation as like an analogy or a metaphor for permissions for access to systems and things like that. So yeah, I don't know anything about the product here, beyond what's on their website and the press release, but yeah, could be interesting. But the kind of buzzwordy title, I think causes more confusion than it helps.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of this lately, where folks are, uh, I wouldn't say rushing to use AI in how they describe the product, but I've been seeing AI or AI based, AI powered more in these product announcements, and it takes away from like what problem are they actually solving. But when I go onto the Elicity homepage, I see that the industries that they mostly operate in are in healthcare and IoT, OT, and leads me to think they're also talking about IoT devices, obviously, and being at the edge. And so it's and they plug into things like Clarity, Armis, CrowdStrike, and Active Directory. So it may
Interesting.
be like a IoT identity play, which does in fact require a much different approach than cloud-based identity protection, for example.
Well,
So
and you'd have to expand your definition of identity to be like machine identity, right? Like, because in a lot of these cases, it's not a human, that needs this access between network devices. It's machine to machine, right?
100%. And also, some of these sessions on medical devices may be capped at 8 hours, or just the time of
Mm.
the planned surgery, 4 hours for protection. So much more fine grained security controls on the IoT OT space, and definitely on the critical infrastructure side of things, it requires a different approach. So this is interesting. I definitely am going to dig in a little bit more into Elicity.
Yeah, so there's I think it's a great idea. I like microsegmentation as a philosophy, as an idea. The principle of least privilege applied to network access controls, and same thing for application control, right? only allowing certain things to execute on boxes. But the killer's always been how to build out that rule set and maintain that rule set, right? Like the first time Illumio pitched microsegmentation to me back in 2012, 2013. um, my first question was, okay, so you've gone from managing 8 firewall rule sets to 8,000? Like, is that what you're telling me here? Like, how do you manage that? And I think, pairing it up with identity might be a good way that they can solve that. Because it's one of these technologies I think is a good idea, but really hard to execute on, really hard to make it so that it's not just okay, like this works, but you got to hire 7 people to manage it, like, I don't think that works for a lot of these products. You got to figure out a way to solve the management piece.
100%. Yeah, and this is why we're seeing a lot of vendors spinning up services arms so that they can help with the implementation. Because what's the point of buying a solution that's very complex to integrate it and fully deploy so that you can get the full value of it if you need 5, 7 people to manage it, versus say a vendor has a services arm or they partner with like a consulting firm like an Accenture or Instant Young. This has been one of the biggest growth channels for Palo Alto Networks, is those types of partnerships with like a
Interesting.
Deloitte or Accenture, and they help with the implementation and integration into these environments. So um, I would say huge plus one to the increasing trend of vendors having services arms. I think that helps out a lot.
Yeah. Definitely. Though, you know, yeah, ideally, less overhead for the product is also a great thing. Like not having to just brute force it by throwing warm bodies at it. I'm not sure how sustainable that is with some of these products, but we will find out in time. Um, Safe Base is an interesting one. They have kind of a unique approach to third party risk management where you get like you can basically have your own web page that shows your current status, like of your SOC 2, your last pen test, and stuff like that. And you can approve one of your third parties to view it so they can download your latest pen test report executive summary or whatever. So kind of a neat idea of, instead of filling out these Excel spreadsheet questionnaires, your sig lights, your RFPs, stuff like that, we can just publish it, publish the information. So there's another one that does that as well. I'm blanking on the name. Cyber something. But yeah, it's the idea of creating like a network of folks on. So the other one kind of requires you to use their platform, whereas this one doesn't. You're publishing a web page. So you could go to company name /security, and there's their safe base page that has like will answer a lot of the questions that you have on these questionnaires.
Yeah, it's a consistent problem, I think, for a lot of vendors in
Yeah.
market, right? Especially the young startups that I tend to get involved with and work with. They get these RFPs with these, 100, 200 questions on it about how they're doing their cyber functionality, and there's 6 people, right? The company's 6 people, and it's like they don't have anything that you're stating. B, if they do, they have no way to prove it or show it, right? And so there it ends up being this, oh, we want to sell to insert random massive bank here. We have to now spend the next 3 weeks implementing MFA, implementing this, implementing that, setting
Yeah.
up this procedure, just so we can prove it, right? And there's a certain level of diligence that has to occur, right? And so I get it in the smaller companies, but as soon as you get to mid-size, it's just a super useful thing to have a one-page thing. Hey, go here. That's all you got to look at. Just go
Here-
here. It
yeah.
shows
Here's all
everything,
the security
all our
that
latest
we.
results, our latest pen tests, our latest SOC data. Here you go. Right? It's done. We've just answered your 500 questions.
Yeah.
Yep. And I know Vanta has a similar feature for
Mhm.
Trust Center where you can create a web page for all of the certifications and audit reports that your company has, and you just upload it there. And then on the flip side, I recently pulled HubSpot's SOC 2 report,
Yep.
and they had the full audit report available. Though I had to log in and request access to that file, and they gave me timed access to it. And so there are some security features around these audit reports as well, and you have to have a paid user account to be able to pull that report, which is pretty interesting. But
Yeah.
yes, I
Were
love.
they using SafeBase or Vanta in that case?
couldn't even tell
Oh,
because it was
yeah.
hosted on HubSpot, and so not sure what the underlying tech under it was,
Mm.
but it was streamlined security questionnaires. Saves us all time and headaches, and like this, these are things that we have to do repetitively, and I love the fact that there are folks tackling this.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think a vendor questionnaire GPT is a thing that's gonna happen sooner if not,
Ooh,
even it probably has already happened somewhere,
yeah, that's
because
a
it
great idea.
pointed at my last 300 vendor questionnaire spreadsheets, and you're just doing what those junior folks are doing. They're just reading through the questions that we've answered, matching up the ones that match up, copy paste, copy paste, copy
Mhm.
paste. Like a GPT can easily do that.
And a
Yeah,
GPT can improve it. It's not even just copy paste, it's also gonna be like, "Oh, by the way, and
Yeah,
here's a
it'll do
better
a
way
better
to
job.
state what you wrote," you know?
Yeah, you copy paste 200 things. When a human does it, you get an error rate of at least 5 of those cells you copied and pasted into the wrong cells, right? Like the error rate will go down to 0 if you use a GPT to
Yep.
do it. Yeah. Yeah, and CyberGRX is what I was thinking of earlier. That was the other one doing this. And the problem there is they've got you kind of have to use their template. That's the thing I've heard people complain about is they don't want to use, kind of dictates um the template you have to use, and there's often some disagreement there over what should be in that questionnaire and what they're willing to share. Um, but yeah, let's see. Aptega, I don't know a lot about. Looks interesting. Looks like they're building a product for MSSPs, and I think it's also around it's compliance related, but I don't know exactly what they're doing here. Any of these we really need to talk about before we move on? We've got 3 here with seed funding. DeepKeep has 10 million, Telescope 5, and then Run Reveal 2.5. So we're like going in half and in half again with seed funding
No.
here.
No, I think we're just in the era of, "Hey, we're hitting the bottom, let's get some money back into the early stage, and let's be smarter about it in the early stage," as Darwin mentioned, the numbers look a little bit tighter.
100%. And there's one that recently came out this morning, new funding round for Strong DM, who was founded by Timmy Pendergrast, who I
Oh,
believe
yeah.
was either the founder at Twistlock or Redlock, which was acquired by Palo Alto. But they're
Oh,
in
no, it
the
was evident.io.
Yes, it's
Evident.io,
evident.
sorry.
Yep.
And they just raised 37 mil Series B, I want to say. Let me double check. But they're in the zero trust TAM spot, and they're coming after CyberArk. If you follow Tim on LinkedIn, he's always posting hot takes and coming
Oh,
directly at
yeah.
CyberArk's neck. So I think he's a pretty fun follow, and I guess they're building some pretty cool stuff. So this was
He's a fun guy. We chatted a lot back in the Evident days when I was a industry analyst. I haven't talked to him in a little while.
Yeah, super smart guy. Love the work he's doing. It's good to see him as CEO of Strong DM. If I recall correctly, don't hold me to this audience, but I believe Strong DM was not founded by him. I think he's the second CEO, but I could be wrong there. Um, but he's just a super smart dude, right? He knows how to do it. He's been down this path before, has had some successful exits, has done a significant amount of investing. And I just love on his LinkedIn, he's actually spent 2 years and 4 months in his career as quote chief couch officer of Couch Ventures, which I really need to put that on my LinkedIn at some point because I need to learn to sit on the couch quite a bit more.
Yeah, he took I think he took a bit of a break after the Evident, after he exited, Symantec, which I think is where Evident ended up going.
But he's so damn witty, right? He has strict responsibilities for increasing the ROI of seating surfaces in his abode, managing a seating budget, and allocating time amongst various seating infrastructure while operating complex systems like Xbox and PS4. I have significant cloud experience in this role, as I have thoroughly tested cloud video streaming upon cloud like cushioning capabilities of my seating infrastructure. Cloudventures.io. Love it. Love it,
Wow.
Tim. Great work.
Wow. I want to be that when
Um,
I grow up.
Yes, that's what I want to be for sure.
Hell
and
yeah.
he's advertising a job posting, and he says, "This job's so good, I can't container myself." It's a Kubernetes engineer.
He's just so freaking funny. I love the guy. So witty.
That's great.
One of my favorite follows on LinkedIn for sure.
All right. Let's see. So speaking of enterprise browsers, I kind of slipped in. I'm a bit of an Arc fanboy, and Arc is officially out for Windows now. It's been out for Mac for a couple of years. The app that they have on iOS is amazing. Like you just give it a question, like something you want to research, and it does all the research for you and just puts together a custom web page that you can share with other people. It's they build the browser company builds amazing products, and one of the things I really like about it is how I can easily segment up my different profiles. Like you can do different profiles on Chrome and on Brave, but it's a little funky, like switching between them. On Arc, it's built from the ground up. Like the UX is it makes it very like with just a swipe on the trackpad. I can jump from my like M365 Copilot testing environment, which
Mm.
completely different credentials than my other one. So like I want that in a completely different Chrome profile, right? And it does use
Adrian,
Chrome under the covers.
Adrian, here's what I'm gonna say to you. And for those that aren't watching on video, you should be right now. Adrian, get off my lawn. I'm not leaving Google Chrome. I'm just not doing it. My workflows work in Google Chrome. I'm not leaving it.
Get off me
All right. But
lawn.
if you try it, you'll love it.
Yeah, I
Especially
did it. I was just gonna say I didn't think I needed a updated browser experience until I just heard your excitement explaining it, and now I'm thinking you should probably be an investor in Arc because you've definitely convinced me to try it out. So good stuff.
yeah, it's amazing. It's got a lot of I mean, they're definitely taking some risks there. By default, it will archive your tabs and clean them up.
Mm,
You can disable that if you don't like that. But I mean, it's pretty easy to get them back, and it keeps me from just really going too far down the rabbit hole and making too big of a mess. And there are just hundreds and hundreds of little things they've done that are just like why did nobody else think of that? Type things.
So for what it's worth, I tried it. I could not get into the workflow of it. Like it broke too many flows for me. But you gotta understand, I've lived in the browser forever, so it
Yeah,
is kind of an old man scenario for me, like, I get it, I'm a Luddite, anybody who's coming up, please try it. Adrian's
yeah.
probably right, this is definitely a situation where my old man tendencies are getting the better of me, but I just couldn't break free of Chrome. I
If
got
you
my
don't try
workflows so
that,
good.
try Arc Search on your iPhone. Arc Search is amazing. It's a completely different type of tool than the browser on than the Arc browser for the desktop. Its main purpose is to just do research for you. So I still use two different browsers on my phone. I still have Chrome on there, which I use for different things. But if I need to research something, I will just plug that in there, tell it to browse for me, and it goes out and it'll browse like 11 websites simultaneously and just bring you back all the research results. It's great.
wow. I remember when we used to have to go to the library to get this information.
Yeah,
You
it's
gotta
like a
put your
little.
glasses on the tip of your nose like the old men when you say that, Darwin.
Yeah, I actually never had to get. I grew up in the internet world, so I'm just
Oh, I
trolling
did
you
not.
guys.
I did not, and
Yeah,
thank you for
it
the
is like a
troll.
little
Thank you.
librarian on your phone.
There you go.
It's actually a really good description of what it does. So Nord Security launched a new product. Very interesting. They've been launching a lot of new stuff. I think they launched like a whole like research lab. I think that was the last thing we talked about with Nord, taking that that VPN money and doing all kinds of interesting stuff with it. I'm not the biggest. I kind of hate their advertisements. I think the YouTube advertisements are little kind of taking advantage of people who don't know how VPNs work. Saying it protects you in situations where it doesn't really protect you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ESW, where we pull no punches.
It's interesting to see where they're going to go from there because obviously they can't just build a VPN, so they're building out some other stuff. This looks like a EASM product, some kind of a attack surface management product.
Exactly what the world needs.
Yeah,
Another one. Yeah.
another one.
Real,
Uh,
real quick,
uh,
I the AWS Security Hub announces
Yeah, I was
AWS
just gonna throw to you and have you talk about that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I was super excited about this one. Though I've spent most of my life in Azure and not much time in AWS, it was good to see that they're deploying like a resource tagging standard with 85 checks across multiple, like the most used AWS services. And resource tagging is like a very it's a crucial low effort, high ROI thing that security teams can do, and kind of I like to characterize it as one of the like living off the land and leveraging these solutions that are available to you through your cloud provider, and not going and getting like super fancy security tools to do things for you. So with resource tagging, it helps with like FinOps. So which cost center does this asset belong to? Which engineering or infrastructure team does this asset belong to? What type of data is being stored in this S3 bucket? All of those types of things, and assigning metadata to cloud assets helps folks orienteer themselves to whatever resources may be involved in an event or an incident. And also, say you're bringing on a new teammate, a new team member, it allows them to orienteer
Yeah,
themselves as well. And this metadata can get ingested by security solutions, and
right.
you can leverage it to enrich events, let's say in a data pipeline for a SIEM. So there's a lot of powerful things that you can do with resource tags, and these checks that they've pushed helps audit whether or not these services, these cloud assets have the tags assigned to them, and if not, it'll flag it as non-compliant. Azure policy has something similar, but they also have a deny mode. For which, if a say someone on your team is deploying a Kubernetes cluster and it doesn't have a specific tag on it, it won't allow them to deploy that cluster until the tag is applied, until it says
But
like who's the
and
owner
this
of
is
this
doing something
thing.
similar, right? Like, this will also prevent you from doing stuff with it unless you properly tag it?
I'm not sure. I didn't. I'm not sure if AWS has like a similar like type of guardrail capability, but I would assume yes.
Yeah, I thought I saw that.
At the very minimum, they are auditing and flagging when assets do not have a specific resource tag assigned to it.
Yeah, automated asset management is so difficult
Yep.
anyway, having that. Like, it's both your documentation and also automating how you apply controls. Okay, anything tagged with this has to have SE Linux enabled, right?
Right.
Or help you apply regulations, compliance stuff. Okay, somebody wants a list of all the PCI stuff. Okay, well, there's a PCI tag, so you can just it's a query, anything with that tag, and boom, there's your list. It's great. I love it. It's exactly the kind of thing the cloud should be doing for us.
It's a beautiful thing. It's practical and it's free. That's
There
all I'll
you
say.
go. All good things to hear. Well, I mean, the AWS tax you're already paying pays for it. You're not paying any additional for this, right?
Right, right. It's not free. You're just not incurring any additional costs as you would with like
Yeah.
a vendor solution or whatever.
Still,
But
still very
yeah,
appreciated.
hell
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um, let's see. So we have some interesting partnerships here. So we talked about Lacework taking a heck of a haircut, and whether or not what do they have to offer Wiz? And I don't know if this
Did
is
you
still at
see
rumor stage, but
No, did you
so
see the news today, Adrian, on this?
no, I did not.
The deal's dead. It
Oh,
died in
really?
diligence. Yeah, it died in diligence today. Laceworks is no longer being acquired by Wiz. This is the one that was at the 200 or sub 200 level, right?
Yeah,
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
I read a news article. Listen, we get our news from same news sources as everybody else. We're not going straight to
yeah,
Wiz. We're not going straight to Lacework. So please, audience, take this for what it's worth. We're hearing it through the grapevine, through the same news grapevine that you might be hearing it through. But I did see a news article today that comes out and says that deal's been dead. It's been killed. Apparently, it died in diligence. No idea why. Whether it's
yeah.
numerical diligence, financial diligence, technical product diligence, they give no explanation other than it died in diligence. So,
Right. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, maybe not the best news already. That was a low amount, like
well,
for it to. Died in
Yeah,
diligence is not something that makes other folks wanna go out and buy it, I wouldn't think.
that's true, but there's many reasons why it could die in diligence, right?
Sure.
So, um, when you get into the meat of the why, and we will never know. This will never come out, right? This will always be behind the scene, inside baseball kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But there could be other companies that are interested. I also heard on the rumor mill Cisco's interested in them. I heard on the rumor mill that Palo's potentially interested in them. So, at those prices, I think they generated. It could also be oftentimes people leak this information to make a smarter decision on who they get acquired by and for what amount.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
there could have been a leak situation here. There could have been a diligence kill situation where it's like, look, yeah, we're in LOI with Wiz at 200 or 150 or whatever the number is, but Cisco just offered us 300. We're going to chuck some garbage diligence at them, get out of this deal, and go sell it to Cisco. So, not saying that's what happened. This is all
Yeah.
conjecture again, but these things die for many reasons, right? I don't know if you've
Yeah.
ever bought a house. There's lots of reasons
Okay.
why when you get into contract
Yeah.
with a house that you'll walk from one. Everything from, hey, the foundation's crap, to,
Due
hey, the
diligence.
guy's
Yeah.
not negotiating in good faith and I think he's a jerk, so I'm walking from the
Yeah.
deal. Like, it can happen for any number of reasons. These kind of business transactions are very similar.
Yeah. 5,000 rats in the attic.
You never know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so the reason I bring that up, and I'm glad I did because, I hadn't seen the news on that, so it's good to get that news out there, that update on that story. But Aqua and Orca are, partnering up. Now, both of these companies both make the same statement that they are the most comprehensive CNAP on the market. So, like, I'm sitting here thinking, would Sentinel One and CrowdStrike partner? How is this making any sense? Unless maybe they're each of them are not the most comprehensive CNAPs on the market, and there are in fact big, huge, gaping gaps in feature, the offerings that they have. Do you guys have any insight here?
There can only be one most comprehensive CNAP in on the market, right? So somebody's lying. The other thing is the CNAP market has been overly
Cylinder
saturated for.
Cloud.
Yeah, dude, the CNAP space has been oversaturated ever since CSPM, which I think gave birth to CNAP. So for the past 5 6 years, we've seen more and more of these pop up, and then also a lot of acquisitions in the space, right? So Cisco acquired Lightspin, Tenable acquired Hermetic. There was talks about Wiz and Lacework. CrowdStrike has a CNAP. Palo has a CNAP.
Yeah,
Sysdig has a CNAP. Everybody has a CNAP,
yeah,
right? And so there has to be some consolidation in this space, and I think the partnership between Aquasec and Orca may be hinting at that a little bit. But in terms of overlap and capabilities and the difference in the delta between the two solutions, Aqua Security excels at microsegmentation security, so like Kubernetes and Docker, using like their agent-based approach, and they also have some pretty good open source projects popular in the space, Trivia and Kubebench. And then obviously Orca has great agentless coverage for like API security, cloud security, GitHub security, and all these other things, right? So the partnership makes sense. They're kind of augmenting where each of them may have gaps or maybe weak.
yeah. If you look at where they began, right? Aqua was they competed with Twistlock. They were a container security startup, right?
Originally. So was
Which is
Laceworks.
different from where Orca started out, which was CSPM, right?
Yeah.
Laceworks was also a container security company originally.
Oh, that's right. They were, right?
Yeah, a
Okay.
bajillion years ago, yeah.
So maybe we
So that's
solved
what I'm
both
saying,
of these.
Laceworks has
Yeah,
pivoted 3 or 4 times to
yeah.
get to where they are now.
So maybe we solved the mystery of both why Wiz would want Lacework and why Orca's partnering with Aqua, and it's container stuff, container
Might be.
security.
Very
Yeah.
well could be.
We got to the bottom of it, or at least
Like a
I'll pretend like we did.
like a Scooby Doo mystery.
Yeah. All right. Fun partnership here. Williams Racing partnered with Keeper Security. So I always take note when I'm F1 Formula One fan. So when I see cybersecurity sponsors in Formula One, I take note of it. Um, Williams not having the best year, but probably having a better year than Alpine and some of the others. I don't know. It's hard to say. None of them have any points yet.
Well, I bet on Ferrari to win. Outside of Red Bull, I bet on Ferrari to win. So just
Ooh,
FYI.
here's some good rumors there. I don't want to turn this into an F1 podcast, but Lewis Hamilton announced he's going there. Big shocker earlier this year. And Adrian Newey just announced he's leaving Red Bull. He's well known as the best car designer out there. What if? Huh?
What if? What if?
What if
Well,
the
we,
guy
we
who
can
made
take this
Red Bull what
offline.
they are today went to Ferrari with Lewis?
We can take this offline, but just to put a fine point on it, my bet specifically says not including Red Bull, who will win the Constructors' Cup.
You're asking the question, not including?
We'll take it offline, but I bet Ferrari.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. We'll have to see who goes where in 2025, 2026. New regs in 2026. We got Ford coming in, Audi coming in. It's going to be interesting.
It will be a year. I can't wait to see next season. It's going to be fun, and we completely go off the cyber rails here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
To reel us back in though, I'm not a big F1 fan. I don't watch much of it. I think it's super cool. But last year's RSA, I got this super cool Aston Martin shirt at the Sentinel One booth. So I know
Oh, cool.
Sentinel One sponsors
Mhm.
Aston Martin, and I think CrowdStrike sponsors one of them. I think maybe Mercedes.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
it's
Cause
kind of like a
yeah.
go ahead.
CrowdStrike, what's his name? The founder of CrowdStrike, races cars.
Dmitry
Uh,
Oparovich,
no, not Dimitri, but the other guy,
George Kurtz.
First,
George Kurtz. Yeah, I remember turning on the TV, and that there was like GT racing, Porsche racing, and he
and
was
there he
there
was.
on the screen. There he was. He was in the race. But there was an F1 race where I remember like they'll show the celebrities that are in the paddocks. Some of them are like movie, TV celebrities, but yeah, there's George Kurtz. Just standing behind uh, some of the folks there watching the race from the paddock.
That's an expensive sport. All right, get back to the news. Where else are we going?
All right, back to the news. Let's see. So the DBIR came out, but I don't really have that much to talk about yet because it came out so recently. I haven't had a chance to tear through it. Kelly Shortridge got early access to it, and she's got a great blog out on it, which we linked to from story number 29, and a good LinkedIn post. But yeah, things are changing. Is generally what I'm getting out of these reports. Like these reports for a while were just kind of up and to the right with trends and things like that, and now we're seeing some big changes, like in terms of vulnerability exploitation. Like that was always there, but it was more going after the humans. And for whatever reason, we're seeing a whole lot more vulnerability exploitation than getting in through phishing and things like that these days. So that's a big shift. One of I think a couple that are in there. I'll be more prepared maybe next time we have a show to talk about that more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I haven't looked at it.
vulnerability. Yeah, I think Kelly's summary is a great TLDR for it. I think that I'm not sure how long the report is, but there's a lot of stats and data. And shout out to the Verizon team and all the contributors. This is a massive effort that they undertake to provide like a non-biased perspective at the threat landscape and bring us data. And they've been doing it since 2008. And I think this is like one of the most comprehensive industry reports that we have access to. So they're doing great work there. But yeah, vulnerability exploitation tripled up 180% from last
Ooh.
year. And also, there's been an increase in financially motivated data breaches. So ransomware and extortion, we're seeing more of that. I'm not sure if it's a sign of the type of financial climate that we're in, but a lot of interesting things there. I didn't get the chance to really dive into it. Not sure that I'll get the chance with RSA coming up, but
Yeah.
good stuff for sure.
Yeah, maybe on the plane ride over, I've got my remarkable. That's where I go through reports and scribble my thoughts and ideas. But but yeah, a lot of good reports here. There's also the M Trends report with which just came out. Also, there's the 2024 State of the Industry report from Cybersecurity Tribe. There's another report that looks really interesting. I don't have a copy because it's behind a reg wall. And I just wanted to make a point here. So this banking on trust from CyberSafe. Looks really interesting. Looks like they've got some actual data scientists, researchers behind this report. This isn't just a marketing report. Um, but when you put stuff behind reg walls these days, and things like the M Trends report and the DBIR are not behind a reg wall, I mean, there's so many reports getting released. Like we're listing just four for this week, and we're not sure if we have time to read those four. The ones behind the reg wall, less and less chance that's going to create engagement for you. So I would just urge folks out there to skip the reg wall for your big reports. Maybe find other things to capture leads on, but I don't think less and less that makes sense to me.
The voice of the people, Adrian Sanabria.
He is, yeah.
You want your stuff read, do you want it read or not?
Exactly. Yeah,
Maybe
there are other
maybe
ways
zero.
that you could grab people's information, dude. And it's also like, just because someone wants to read your report doesn't mean they're interested in your product, right? This
Yeah,
is another opportunity for
right.
folks to get
Mhm.
off my lawn. So
Yeah. So Rich Mogul, and he teamed up with somebody. This is number 34 to come up with a universal cloud threat model. He basically he felt like more universal threat models didn't touch on some important aspects of what threats are like in the cloud. So him and who's the guy who works for Prime Harbor here? Uh, Missing the name of the other guy that he collaborated with on this. But yeah, really interesting model that they put together.
Chris
Um,
Ferris. And
Chris Ferris.
Chris Ferris, if I'm not mistaken, is the founder, one of the founders of TLDR Sec, Cloud Sec. Yep, Chris Ferris is one of the co-founders of TLDR Cloud Sec, or Forward Cloud Sec, which is one of the
Forward
best
cloud sec,
cloud
yeah.
security. Yeah, they've done some amazing work on the cloud security front. Love that conference. So shout out to Chris Ferris. But yeah,
And
back
this
to
is
you, Adrian.
free and no reg wall.
Yep, yep.
So download the PDF and check that out. Let's see what else we got here. A lot of good essays here that we haven't really dug into. Making the case for an AI marketing ethics policy. That's an interesting conversation there. Rethinking alcohol as a cybersecurity bonding ritual. That one from uh, help me with the name here, Jennifer Leggio,
Legio, yeah.
who just announced she's chief operating officer at Tide Cyber, which is a really cool
Title.
looking company. Title. Thank
Title.
you.
Yeah.
Title Cyber. And that's why we have co-host.
Yeah.
Well, I only know this because I just was DMing her about her new role is actually COO, which is
Yeah,
really
yeah. That's
cool.
what.
She's been
Yeah,
a multi-time CMO who has now
right.
transitioned into a COO role,
Which is
quite a
always
bit more
cool and fun to
operational.
see. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I
I
was
love
DMing
seeing
her,
people
sending her a
grow into. Mhm.
congratulatory message, and quite frankly, was asking her about the path that she took to get there, which is a pretty interesting path. She actually focused on some operational components in her last couple of CMO positions to make sure she was well positioned for a COO role on her next hop. And yeah, she found the right people who were willing to give her the shot at it. And hey, Jen, congratulations, Jennifer. It's fantastic. Good for you. And I hope you're highly successful at Title.
All right, a few more things, and we're going to wrap up here. We've got an AI dumpster fire with, apparently people reviewing academic research. Yeah, scientific studies have found they found some techniques they can use to figure out if things have been written by AI, and excessive use of words like commendable and meticulous highly suggest that they've been written by AI. But in some of these cases, the AI prompts are still in there. There's like sorry, I didn't fully understand your request. Like they're just copying and paste stuff in there, including like errors and things like that. So some of it you don't really need any fancy techniques to tell that it's been written by AI.
This come on, guys. This is a situation of lazy plagiarism. If you're going to
Yeah,
plagiarize, do a little bit of work and review it, read it. You can't just paste in the same the pure garbage and expect to be not found. I mean, you got to at least review it. At least get 101 of being a jerk, right? Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the scary part is that someday AI models may be trained upon these studies that
Yeah.
were created by AI, which is kind of
Oh
like a
gosh.
snake eating
It's
its
like,
own tail,
yeah,
right?
idiocracy, like just each generation getting dumber and dumber.
Yeah.
I'm fully expecting idiocracy to become the reality of humanity after I die.
Uh,
After you die.
there's a good blog post in here from Google, Google security blog, accelerating incident response using generative AI. They go through some really interesting examples and good thoughts in there. So that's a good read to check out. And I
That's
think
a
with
must
that,
read. I highly recommend that read. And
yeah.
then I want to do a super quick shout out to my little brother who works on the Google security
Oh,
incident response and research security engineering side of the house. So I don't know that he was involved in this at all. I'd be willing to bet he probably wasn't, but yeah, definitely read this blog. It's actually a really good piece of content. And hey, little brother.
very cool. And with that, I think we can get to our squirrel stories. Both of which are, seem like they're straight out of sci-fi, but sadly they're not. Uh, wait, did we cover number 35 before?
Not here. We covered it at a
Not
different
here.
show, Adrian.
Yeah. So yeah, the I'm trying to remember how they pronounced it. Densys X1 exoskeleton is basically something you strap to your waist and to your thighs, and it can either speed you up or slow you down, depending on if you want to run faster or with hike with less effort, or if you want to train yourself and actually have it provide resistance while you're exercising. And it uses AI to decide like when to apply force in which direction. So kind of interesting one there. I think it's kind of cool. Um, they have some videos of people actually trying it out. I started out thinking it was dumb. And at the end of one of those videos, I was like, no, actually I could like, and it's at a reasonable price for somebody who's, training for some kind of, um, all kinds of events, like even training for sports and things like that. I can see where this could be useful in training. And then the
Yeah,
other
I'm
one,
definitely not the right audience on that one. I do 700, not 7,000, not 70,000, 700 steps a day. So I am not the right audience for this technology.
well, those
We need a
700 could be easier for you, Tyler.
They could be, but more often than not, they're literally just walking up and down those steps right there to get to the fridge to eat. That's
Yeah.
pretty much the only reason I take steps anymore.
And then
we
they
need to send a under desk treadmill to Tyler's house.
there we go.
Get those
Yeah.
steps up.
Facts.
Get ready for RSA, man. I think you'll be able to log like 10x of what you're currently logging. Shouldn't be hard.
Oh yeah, easily.
Are you guys both gonna be at RSA?
Sadly.
Yes, sir.
Sadly. Yeah?
See,
Okay.
Darwin's all happy. You can tell he's much younger than me. He's like, "Yeah, let's go," and I'm like, "Yeah, let's go."
Yeah. All
Are
the
you guys going to the blogger thing, the security creators event on, Wednesday at Tonga?
I think so.
yes,
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah,
There's
I
so
think
many.
those tickets are almost gone, but it's replacing the old blogger,
Oh no, I'm
thing
not
that
going to that one.
Jennifer Leggio, originally put on with, what's his name? Alan? Yeah.
Darwin and I are in a couple other things that we're going to, but not. I'm not going to that one. I can't make that one. I'm double booked. That's an
Okay.
evening one.
Yep, it is. It's a Wednesday evening, I think.
Yeah.
And our last squirrel story is the Terminator, which I don't know why they would advertise it like this, but it's a robot dog with a flamethrower on the back, and they decided people would think it would be really cool if they had it running around a forest, setting the forest on fire.
Yeah.
But none of that looks cool at all to me.
I
I have
think it looks
no idea
absolutely
what they're thinking.
freaking amazing. I 100% want one. But here's the tricky thing. When you watch these videos, you're like, how cool is this? But then when you read the fine print, you realize the dog is only about a foot by a foot.
Is
He's
it that
tiny.
small?
Yeah. Yeah. It actually
Oh,
says
I thought it was
he's like
like
18 inches by
Boston
18 inches.
Dynamics dog size. I thought it
No,
was
he's like 18 by 18. He's literally like this big. He's like
oh,
a
wow.
chihuahua size. But that makes it even cooler because a chihuahua that can launch a flame 30 feet, That's just amazing. Like, I want one so badly.
But what the hell are they thinking when they demo it by burning down a forest, by starting
Let's
forest
go.
fires?
Starting forest fires.
Not sure. I think like a ethics panel needs to call them in and have them work on their marketing. But I would love to have a little army of these thermonators for my doomsday
Oh my God,
I
purposes.
yes.
I mean,
Absolutely.
from a nerd gadget standpoint, and as a person who likes fire as a thing, sure, I get that, but I'm also wondering how far I could punt it.
Well, it's only 18 inches long. You can
Like,
punt the hell out of it.
I'm pretty sure I could send that a good 100 yards
Yeah.
with a
Probably.
running start.
Although, Adrian, you got to scroll down on that page and look at the related products. There's the TF-19 Wasp flamethrower drone attachment. So you can add a
Ooh,
flamethrower to your drone.
wow.
Oh my god.
I
Welcome
think
to
I need a
America.
dog and a drone flamethrower for sure. I need to be my defenses of my property needs to be bidirectional, air and ground.
Yeah. Only $1,600 for the drone, dude.
Sign me up.
Either this is
Wow.
going to be really handy in the apocalypse, or it will help start one.
Yeah. Stay tuned to the next
Stay
episode to
tuned to
find
find out
out.
which. And with that,
When
that's all we've got. That's all the time we've got today. Thank you so much, Darwin and Tyler, for joining me today. This is a lot of fun.
Thanks for having
awesome.
us.
Thanks, A.
Hope I see you both at RSA, and hope I see some of our listeners in RSA. Come up and say hello if you see me. My hair should make me pretty easy to spot. And yeah, big thanks to everybody watching or listening to this week's episode of Enterprise Security Weekly. And I don't think we have a normal show this coming week. I forget exactly what we're doing, but it might be interviews from the show. So I'll be at the show doing a lot of these 15-minute executive interviews. So you can also find me in Broadcast Alley there, which I think is in the usual place in Moscone West on the bottom floor, opposite the bookstore. And yeah, see you there.